Coming up on WEBN News, one politician has doubts about next year's presidential election.
And we'll tell you all about the juiciest new business in Beantown.
The news you want from the people you trust starts now.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to WEBN News. I'm April Baker.
And I'm Michael Amio.
New York City police are embroiled in a scandal, and it has to do with ticket fixing. So far, 16 New York Police Department cops have been arraigned. NYPD Commissioner Raymond Kelly has said the city has lost almost $2 million in dropped tickets. Hundreds of officers showed their support outside the state Supreme Court in the Bronx as 16 officers pleaded not guilty. Hundreds of officers could face charges within the department. Some of them have already retired.
I'm Pat Welter for WEBN Boston, reporting from the Fisher Community Center in Marshalltown, Iowa, where Rick Perry just discussed why he's the authentic conservative candidate and how the American people should settle the issue of same-sex marriage.
I'm Garrett Turner here at the Iowa State Fairgrounds, where Ron Paul addressed local veterans just days before the Iowa caucus.
Behind me, Mitt Romney supporters are cheering because Mitt Romney has just won the New Hampshire primary. This coming with only 11% of the votes tallied here in New Hampshire. This is history because he's the first Republican non-incumbent to win both Iowa and New Hampshire. Now all eyes turn to second place. WEBN Boston, I'm Pat Welter.
Mitt Romney rolled into Ames like a rock star. He seemed more like a celebrity than a politician at an Iowa rally.
That's quite an entrance, isn't it? Isn't that something?
Romney didn't focus on issues, but he did talk about what he called traditional American values.
It's what's made us who we are. Men and women of passion and vision who are willing to dream and take risks and live in a land of liberty.
He painted himself as the all-American candidate by sharing stories of family vacations with his parents at the national parks.
Between the stops, they would tell us about the founding of the country. Mom would read to us from a book called Men to Match My Mountains. We learned about the women and men who dreamed, who created this extraordinary country.
Romney then took the opportunity to criticize President Obama. He accused him of moving away from what he called the founder's vision for America.
The policies of our president are making us more and more like Europe, with bigger and bigger government. This is not an election just to change presidents, it's an election to save the soul of America.
The room was packed and the crowd had a lot of energy, but many people in the audience said they still did not know whom to vote for.
I'm really out here just trying to decide which candidate to choose.
I'm still undecided, but my top two candidates would be Romney and Newt Gingrich.
Although many of the candidates said they're still undecided, it's Romney's business experience and family values that make him a top candidate.
It wasn't easy raising 5 boys, and there were times when I was so exasperated I really felt like leaving home, I think, at times. Those boys almost drove me out of the house. But Mitt would call when I was really at my wit's end and remind me that my job was more important than his.
For Channel 3 News, I'm Christina Winsky in Ames, Iowa.
Occupy Wall Street protests continue, but protesters are still going strong right here in Boston. I went out over the weekend to see who was taking to the streets. Occupy Boston demonstrators are not going away. Matter of fact, they have ventured from Dewey Square to join the Veterans for Peace March. Jay Frazier is a union electrician. He says he's protesting for his family.
I grew up in a middle-class family, and right now I think the middle class is being dismantled, and I think something has to change.
Sean Cleary is a business agent for the Iron Workers Local. He says all Americans should have the opportunity to be middle-class citizens.
It's great to see truly the 99% coming together. You got people from every walk of life coming down here. They might have different things going on in their life, but they all understand that the corporate greed is hurting all of us.
Alpina Mehta works for a corporation she would not disclose. She says she would be willing to protest during a weekday, but would have to call in sick instead of telling her boss the truth.
I'm just going to call in sick that morning or something like that, I mean, people in this country have been fighting for unions. which for most of us doesn't exist, which is why we need more unions in our workplaces so that we have the right to be able to take time off to do activism.
Protesters marched from the Park Street station and made stops at the Armed Services Center, the Hyatt, Verizon, and Bank of America. The march ended at Dewey Square.
And now WBN's Cameron Wong has more of this week's top business headlines.
Cameron Wong and Mike Lamia are reporting from the Financial District.
Thanks, guys. Wells Fargo customers, your personal statements may be in someone else's hands. The bank says it mistakenly sent the wrong statements to customers in Florida and South Carolina. Wells Fargo blames a faulty printer. However, it says the mix-up doesn't pose any security risks. The bank would not say how many customers have been affected, but there are thousands of reported incidents.
I might even have more information where I live, how much I make, where I bank, so it's easy to steal someone's identity.
Walmart is making some big changes. It is rolling back health benefits for part-time staffers. The company is also raising premiums for many full-timers. Walmart says future part-time employees won't qualify for health coverage if they work fewer than 24 hours a week. Walmart is blaming rising costs for the changes.
Stock indexes are down 1% because of the growing fears of the European debt crisis. And today in the market, the Dow is down 115 points, the S&P is down 11 points, and the NASDAQ dropped 20 points. And that's all I have for you for this week's business segment. In the Financial District in Boston, sending it back to you guys at the desk.
Cindy, as election 2012 draws even closer, job creations, it's one of the hottest topics right now.
But how is the current Congress tackling the issue? We turn to political correspondent Dominique to tell us what's going on Capitol Hill.
So Dominique, are there any plans underway to boost employment numbers?
Well, Brittany, politicians in Washington are showing some surprising signs of cooperation. The Senate has overwhelmingly passed the job creation bills. One measure withholds 3% of payments to government contractions. This would ensure they pay their taxes. The second measure would provide military veterans with the job training and tax breaks to reduce unemployment. So far, these two revisions are the only approved elements in President Obama's $447 billion job creation plan.
Democratic State Representative Tom Conroy is running for senator. In a WEBN in-studio interview with Sarah Ewald-Weiss, Representative Conroy discussed his campaign and visit to Occupy Boston.
If I say Tom Conroy, what are 4 things that come to mind?
Well, state representative from Wayland. I've been up at the State House for 3 terms now, 5 years. Businessman with a conscience. I've worked in the private sector for 16 years. Father of triplet daughters who are 15. A lot of people sort of get a kick out of that. And a guy who walked this summer.
So when you walked across the state, you saw a lot, obviously.
Yes.
What were some of the big issues you saw that people needed help with here in Mass?
Jobs, jobs, jobs. That is the refrain I heard again and again. There's a lot, once you get outside of 495, there's a lot of people out there who have been laid off. And I've got stories of dozens of them in which they'd been working 25, 30 years at a good, steady middle-class job with decent wages and decent benefits. But when I saw them this summer, they had been out of work for 2, sometimes 3 years. So that's a huge issue. I think transportation issues are enormous. I saw our crumbling infrastructure, our roads and our railways, buildings and bridges collapsing sort of all over the place.
This is WEBN News, and I'm Kate Spalla. Today in the studio, we have Republican presidential candidate Buddy Roemer. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Kate. Good to be here.
Great. Let's get started. Now let's get to know Buddy Roemer. How would you describe yourself?
Oh my God. I'm a grandfather. I'm 68. I have 3 kids, 3 grandkids, so that's the most important thing in my life. So I wanted to say that. I'm from Louisiana. I'm unique in this contest in that I'm the only candidate running for president in either party who's been both a congressman and a governor. I added to that the fact that I've been a very successful businessman the last 15 years that I've been out of office. In fact, I have a bank that I've built in Louisiana and Texas. It's called Business First Bank. It's almost $1 billion. No bailout money. I don't believe in it. And we're profitable and very successful. So I'm a combination of a practiced politician and then the last 20 years a practicing business person. I think that's a good combination for Washington.
You kind of mentioned bipartisanship when you originally thought of Joe Lieberman. How
Yes.
important is bipartisanship to you?
Very important. I don't see one party changing America. We're in this together. I mean, I see all the elements of the budget being on the table, ethanol subsidies, oil subsidies, on and on I could go. Nobody gets protected. Everybody's on the table to be treated fairly. We've got a fiscal crisis we need to solve. And in that spirit, I, as president, will reach across party lines. I will single out congresswomen and men and give them praise when I address a joint session of Congress. You know, I have a unique history in politics. I was a Democrat for 20 years, and I've been a Republican for 20 years. And some Republicans say, well, that doesn't make you a real Republican. What, do you have to be born Republican? Our party needs to grow. I've been a Republican for 20 years. I'm proud of being Republican, but I'm prouder of being an American, Kate. And I don't see these problems solved without tooth. Now, the problems I'm talking about are unemployment, debt that we can't repay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hello, and thank you for watching WEBN. I'm Sarah Ewald-Weiss, and today we have a special guest with us. Alan Casey is here. He is a Democratic candidate running for U.S. Senate in Massachusetts. So thank you, Mr. Casey, for being here today. We really do appreciate it.
It's great to be with you, Sarah.
All right, so we're going to just jump right in
Sure.
and get to know you. So basically, if I said Alan Casey to you, how would you describe him?
I'd say idealist, social entrepreneur, dad, someone who cares about the community, and has spent his whole life working from the grassroots up.
What other issues would you take up for Massachusetts if you were to become the next U.S. Senator from the state?
Well, first of all, it is jobs, as I said, and I believe there's a lot we can do. Secondly, high-quality public education is critical. I'm an education reformer. I think we need to embrace the 21st century. We have to move from a system in the 20th century where the goal was graduate people from high school to a system in the 21st century of lifelong learning. Your generation is going to have 10 to 12 jobs. For my parents and grandparents, it was 1 or 2 jobs in their life. So we have to move to that system. We have to have a system where people can access at least some higher education. 30 years ago, only 25% of the jobs required more than a high school degree. In 5 years, it'll be more than 2/3 of the jobs will require some higher education. So I want to provide opportunities for people to do that through service. I'd like to change the AmeriCorps program so if you do 1 year of service, you get the equivalent of 1 year's tuition, room, and books at a state school. So if you're willing to serve your country, no matter what your economic background, you can serve your way to a college education. So those are some of the issues that I'm emphasizing.
Well, you said it here. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Casey. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Sarah.
to have you on the show.
Thank you.
That's all we have today for WEBN. I'm Sarah Ewald-Weiss. Thank you for watching.
Aspirin is added again. The popular drug is known to reduce the risk of heart attacks and strokes. However, a new study has found that aspirin can also prevent colon cancer. The universities of Newcastle and Leeds in England study looked at people who took 2 aspirins a day for 2 years. They had reduced their risk of colon cancer by more than 60%. You know, it's just absolutely amazing how medicine keeps getting better and better.
You couldn't be more right, April. But now it's time for our weekly dose of health and medicine.
We turn it over to Danielle Rhines, who has the latest. Danielle?
Thanks. There are new recommendations for the HPV vaccine. A health panel says boys should get the vaccine. The vaccine currently protects girls from getting cervical cancer. A government advisory panel says boys should take the vaccine in order to prevent the virus from spreading through sex. The HPV vaccine is approved for males and females ages 9 through 26. Doctors recommend that the shots be given before an individual is sexually active. A recent study is raising concerns about the safety of new birth control pills. Researchers found newer pills that contain drospirenone may increase the risk of blood clots by 75%. The popular birth control pill Yaz is among those being investigated. Drospirenone is a synthetic hormone that increases the level of potassium in the blood. Other forms of birth control pills containing estrogen and other newly created synthetic hormones may also be unsafe. These newer drugs are also more expensive than older generic brands of birth control. The FDA has issued a warning about asthma drugs. A recent study found that a class of drugs called long-acting beta agonists can actually make breathing problems worse. Many children are given this type of medication to relax their breathing passages and to prevent wheezing, but researchers found children ages 11 to 14 who take these drugs are 67% more likely to end up in the hospital for asthma-related problems. Experts say using an inhaler with the other medications may lower the risk of complications.
Well, it's pretty miserable out there right now. I hope it doesn't stay that way.
I know, it snowed in October. It was warm yesterday, cold today. Carlo, please tell me that it's not going to snow again today. I can't.
Well, unfortunately, we do have a few little areas of snow showers out towards the west, but good news is it's all lake effect snow, and we do have a pretty good warm-up coming up for the rest of the week. Checking outside right now, right across the Commons, you can see the State House, which shows that most of that rain really isn't around us anymore, and we're going to check out the temperatures right now. You can see, well, they're really not that bad. It is a little bit chilly, and with the rain out there, it's a little bit different, but 39 for November really isn't all that bad. Right now in Boston, 39, like I said, 34-degree dew point, and of course the rain and the wind coming out of the northwest is going to make it a little bit cooler feeling. This is that rain with a few little pockets of snow. This is the stuff that I was talking about. This is the lake effect, so it's not going to be getting in here. And really, that's all the snow that we have to deal with out in the rest of the country. What we're going to be watching for is this big clear area. This is the satellite, of course. And this is high pressure, which is going to be moving on in. High pressure is going to bump this cold front and low pressure system off to sea. And we really just have to deal with, well, high pressure tomorrow. High pressure is going to be building in. Northwesterly wind means it is going to be a little bit breezy, but as we deal with that and the clouds break away, high pressure moves off to our southeast, brings the wind around to the southwest, and really just improves things for us as we get into Saturday. For tonight, overcast and rain and snow showers. Those snow showers are going to be pulling off, as you guys saw on that radar. Low is going to get down to about 35 degrees, and the wind is going to be pretty strong out of the northwest. Now tomorrow, it's going to be breezy, so definitely be aware of that. Keep those hats clamped tightly on the head. High about 48, but we do get to see the sun. And as we go through the rest of the week, really you get to see the sun for a good deal of the week. Sunday is really the only time that you may have a chance of some precipitation. And then Monday, we get back into the kind of, well, unfortunately, a little bit cooler weather that we had Sunday, because we warm up a little bit before the front comes through. And then Tuesday, we have a little bit more, and we're actually going to be watching a coastal storm, so just be prepared for those, that thing coming up as we get into Thanksgiving. Back to you guys over there.
Well, Brittany, at least it's not going to snow anytime soon.
I know, I didn't want it to snow on my Thanksgiving Day parade. That's all I asked.
When we come back, entertainment correspondent Kathleen St. Fleur has more on how one celebrity's hashtag put him in the hot seat.
That's right, and our sports anchor Ian Steele will have the latest football highlights, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Justin Bieber is barely out of puberty, but he's already been hit with a paternity suit. The baby singer has denied accusations that he fathered a 3-month-old child. The mother, Maria Yeater, claims that she and the Biebs had a sexual encounter in the backstage bathroom. Yeater is asking a judge for child support and a paternity test. But before seeing any money, LA police say she could be investigated for having sex with a minor. At the time of the alleged hookup, Yeater was 19 and Bieber was only 16.
To continue our star-studded conversation, we check in with Jackie Thompson, who gives us an update on the Hollywood headlines. Jackie?
We've traveled coast to coast to bring you the behind the scenes of the biggest award show of the year.
We're talking about the Super Bowl of the entertainment industry, the Academy Awards.
WEBN's All Access Oscar Special starts now.
Welcome to WEBN's All Access Oscar Special. I'm Anaritas Rodriguez.
And I'm Kayla Harity. We've left the winter coats and cold weather behind for our Oscar gowns in California sunshine.
Someone else who left the East Coast winter for a hot Hollywood career is Henry Winkler.
And of course, we know him as the Fonz. Justine Frostad sat down with the Hollywood legend for the inside scoop on the Academy Awards. Justine?
Because Henry Winkler is a member of the Academy, he gets to vote on the winners. He gave me an all-access pass to his Oscar predictions.
I think that Annette Bening should get the Best Actress.
I think that Christian Bale should win for a transformational performance.
The Social Network is another one of Winkler's favorite flicks of the year. He claimed the movie has no target audience because of how well it was written, and Winkler believes writing is the key to any great film.
Writing is the beginning and the end. If it is not on the page, it's not on the stage.
A well-written screenplay can make it easier for actors to do their job, but Winkler says it's important for actors to have formal training in order to make a good performance great.
It is up to you as a human being to make sure that you reinvent yourself so that you continue. No one is going to do that for you. The training gives you the foundation on which to stand.
Winkler described many of this year's nominated films as candid reflections of real life. Winkler said this is a pleasant change from the average modern movie, which makes love and life look easy.
When you're lying in the field and you're having a picnic and the girl puts her head on your tummy, can I tell you, after a little while it gets really heavy. And you're thinking, oh my God, will she please move? Oh, I can't, oh, I'm getting really, this is hurting. It's not like in the movies where they're lying together. It's just fantastic. You know, unless, of course, you like the situation where you've got abs that can, like, support the head for a long time. Head's heavy.
No matter if your film is a romance or a thriller, Winkler says when you're nominated for an Oscar, you want to win.
When your tush hits the seat, you want to win.
Win or lose, Winkler is inspired by many of the nominated films and performances.
When you see something that really hums, that sings off the screen, I envy the people that were part of that project.
This industry legend has been in the spotlight for over 4 decades, and he's not done yet. He will soon start acting in the new feature film, Here Comes the Boom. Back to you on the red carpet.
Thanks, Victoria. There are no more awards to be handed out, so it's time for the stars to clear their seats and head to the after party.
The red carpet is about to be rolled up, so we are out of here too.
We hope you enjoyed WEBN's All Access Oscar Special as much as we did.
We'll see you next year at the Oscars.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us as we take you to Boston Fashion Week. I'm Brianna Baxter.
And I'm James Harness. We're here at one of Boston's trendiest areas, Newbury Street. Get ready for a glimpse into this year's fashion-forward events.
WEBN has all the highlights from glittery runways to the city's concrete sidewalks.
We'll have exclusive interviews with popular designers. We'll take a look at new and edgy trends and even take a look into the future of fashion.
All this and more on WEBN's special presentation, Boston Fashion Week, next.
It's true that the right ensemble can make you feel confident and get you noticed.
Brittany Berkowitz shows us how one designer is helping regular working women dress for success.
Boston can't stop cheering for fashion. Denise Hajar's fashion, that is.
Opportunity to see Denise's new fashions. She's phenomenal. She's one of my favorite designers.
I like the fact that she mixes classic things with a little bit of an edge.
The Denise look is always a hit with the Boston fashion crowd, and that's because this designer likes the challenge of dabbling with different styles in the fashion scene.
Whether it's entering Project Runway or dressing Vanna White for the Wheel of Fortune, you know, just submitting my stuff or doing movies or theater. I like that challenge.
Denise Hajar's line has even made it to Hollywood, but tonight her clothes come off the screen and onto the runway.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here for Denise's fall fashion show benefiting Dress for Success Boston.
Denise Hajar knows how to dress for success, and that's why she teamed up with the Boston group that lends a helping hand to women entering the work world.
I approached Dress for Success because I felt it was a good combination, trying to help women empower themselves.
Clothing is so powerful when women are feeling hopeless, and so many of them have been through horrible experiences. To put on a suit, to see themselves in a suit, it gives them hope, and it makes them feel like they can succeed.
The feel-good fashion scene made for a night of success. This sold-out show will be a night to remember at Dress for Success Boston's annual luncheon this January. For WEBN News, I'm Brittany Berkowitz.
Welcome to WEBN's 4th annual special presentation of the Emmy Experience. I'm your host, Jordan Moncada, and we're here at the 63rd Primetime Emmy Awards. For the next half hour, we will be taking you on a journey from the production set to your television set. WEBN reporters Victoria Berglund, Ryan Fleiter, and Joshua Sackheim are here with me in Hollywood. We've met with some of television's top industry professionals to give you an inside look on what it takes to create an Emmy-nominated show. One of the first steps is to rely on the casting director to put together an all-star cast. Victoria took us inside one of today's hottest primetime shows to show us how casting really works. Gleeks worldwide have gone crazy over the relatable and lovable characters starring in Glee. The show's Emmy Award-winning casting director, Robert Ulrich, believes there's more to the cast's perfect harmony than just a good pitch.
It is fascinating how, within seconds, certain people pop.
Ulrich definitely has the chops for casting, but for Glee, a specific formula helped him win an Emmy Award for outstanding casting for a comedy series this year.
I was looking to see if they had that special spark and that accessibility, which I think has become a trademark into casting Glee, somebody who the audience will root for and really like. And then if they could sing. And I was looking for incredible singers, but I was also looking for people that I knew could become incredible singers. And I think we were very successful in that.
Finding those incredible singers was tough, but it helped to have the support of executive producer Ryan Murphy.
But it was difficult. I mean, there were certain roles that were a lot harder than other roles. And, you know, Finn was a difficult role to cast. Mercedes was a difficult role to cast. Quinn we cast the night before she worked. So, and also because Ryan was so wonderful about having it not be known actors, the fact that I could go out and discover people. He encouraged me to go out and discover people.
Murphy and Ulrich worked so well together, they decided to expand their efforts into a competition-based reality series.
The Glee project was born out of an idea to expand casting, to give people who would never have the opportunity.
The show focuses on competitions that ultimately provide the winners with a spot on Glee.
I think that anyone involved would say that those were the most fun auditions that I know I've ever been involved with.
Hello and welcome to WEBN's Inside the Grapefruit League 2011. I'm Nick Coy.
And I'm Samantha Russo. We're here at McKechnie Field, the Pittsburgh Pirates' home away from home. This week, the WEBN sports crew traveled throughout Florida to bring you an inside look at what happens at Major League Baseball's spring training.
Over the next half hour, we'll get you up to speed on the league's most recognizable faces.
And we'll also introduce you to some young, up-and-coming players trying to break into the majors.
And finally, we'll give you a look at all the little things that make spring training such a success.
But first, let's talk Red Sox.
Fans in Boston couldn't be happier with decisions the Red Sox made this offseason. Our Ben Barker caught up with the team in Fort Myers to find out how two of the newest additions are fitting in.
The Boston Red Sox have reloaded. This year, Boston's team will have a new look with two former division rivals in the fold. Former Tampa Bay left fielder Carl Crawford is adjusting to his new home with the Red Sox.
I don't know, really. You know, it's all baseball, you know. Probably just moving to a new city, stuff like that. Pretty much the baseball stuff is the same, but, you know, just moving and learning a new area.
Crawford will bring speed to the Boston lineup. Last season, he led the Rays with 47 stolen bases. In Boston, Crawford will team up with Jacoby Ellsbury to create one of the best speed tandems in the league.
It's gonna be cool because you know he can still 50+ bases. I've done it before, and you know, just to be able to give pitchers, the opposing pitchers, problems, you know, it's definitely a plus for us. So I'm looking forward to running with him and seeing if we can you know, shake up some things.
Crawford isn't the only former Ray joining the Red Sox. Dan Wheeler was one of Tampa Bay's best relief pitchers. This season, Wheeler will be in Boston's bullpen. His adjustment has been easy.
I don't think it's going to be that hard. I mean, I know what Boston, you know, is and what it's about. I know they're very passionate about baseball up there. Growing up in Rhode Island, I got a feel for that. So I'm definitely excited about that.
While Kyle Crawford's impact is obvious to most fans, Dan Wheeler may be just as valuable. The Boston bullpen struggled heavily in 2010, and the Red Sox hope Wheeler's arm will help in the late innings.
You know, the one thing that I want to do is I just want to be ready to pitch whenever Tito wants me to, and I think that's the most important thing. So whenever he calls upon me is when I'm going to be ready to go.
With opening day just around the corner, Red Sox fans can't wait to see the newest additions in action. For WEBN Sports, I'm Ben Barker.
Crawford and Wheeler weren't the only big additions for Boston this offseason. The Red Sox also acquired slugger Adrian Gonzalez and former White Sox closer Bobby Jenks.
But the Red Sox aren't all about the superstars. Developing younger players is also a priority.
Highly touted prospects Lars Anderson and Ryan Kalish spoke with our Geraldine Novia about their future in Boston.
Ryan Kalish and Lars Anderson are hoping to return to the big leagues. At the end of last season, they made their major league debut for the Boston Red Sox. This spring training, both players are working hard to earn a spot on the team.
Just keep getting better and be ready to play, because you never know when they might call on us. You know, there's a ton of guys in there that are waiting for the opportunity. So hopefully, like I said, I'll be ready to go if they call on me.
His name might not be on the opening day roster, but first baseman Lars Anderson still has high expectations for the upcoming season.
Have a lot of fun and do epic things, I suppose.
Anderson and Kalish have more in common than just their team jerseys. They're also roommates at spring training. And although they are competing for a place on the team, Anderson is well aware of Kalish's potential.
An incredible talent, bordering on recklessness. I mean, the guy is like Pete Rose with no hair or something, plays in the outfield. The guy is like, he'll go after anything, he'll run into anything, he'll run over anything. It's like a man on a mission. It's crazy. Yeah, I love him. My best friend.
Veteran Mike Cameron has high hopes for Kalish. He is confident that help from the coaching staff and input from experienced players will give him a head start for the regular season.
He's improved tremendously. He's had great coaches, and I just try to assist with some of the things I've learned in the field of play to help him out, make the game easier.
It's hard to find holes in the Red Sox lineup, but these two prospects are looking to break in the near future. In Fort Myers, Florida, I'm Geraldine Novia.
I can certainly agree with that, but that's all the time we have.
For continued coverage, visit WEBN.TV. I'm April Baker.
And I'm Mike Lamia. Have a good night.